What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. I've gone back from the boardroom to the basement room where I'm more familiar in my subterranean haunts. Nosferatu, that is I. Here I am, happy to spend time again with my good friend. And I'm going to be honest with you, you've changed the backdrop around. It's much more appealing. I hadn't noticed this, but
Okay.
there's like a row of jerseys. You don't have that weird awkward wall. I'm very improved. Talk to me about your better feng shui and anything else going on in your world today, Zach Graham.
All it is a new laptop with a better camera on a stand. It is the exact same background.
Really? Oh, it's just
Yeah.
the angles are so much changed.
Yeah.
For me. I thought you like moved one of the jerseys to the sidewall. Or
had that James Conner over there has been there with his helmet. My little James Conner shrine on top of the dresser over there.
Inspiring player.
Love James Conner.
Yeah. Doing quite a job there. So that's okay. Yeah, your youthful here's some candy to get in the back of my van appearance really comes forward with this new, it seems to be a better webcam.
Yeah, much improved.
It's doing a lot for you. All right, I'm liking what you're doing there. Obviously, quite a bit going on tonight. We saved the fun party for the Wednesday nights. I feel like we should get the sherbet to Herbert, even though he has a concussion. I think we should get in here and start talking. So I defer to you, sir. Again, quite a bit going on in the association this evening. What's a spot in which you would like to start discussing things? We obviously had one, sizable disagreement in the green room, and we could certainly go there and talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's where we should start because I want to hear about Jokic. You and I, not the only two people slightly differing on the reigning MVP, but there was some discussion on the previous show with David and Javi and in the Discord. So I guess that was the first thing I guess that stuck out to you when you reviewed my ranks for the day in our normal back and forth about it. Was you would have Jokic between an 8 and a 9 there at 11-4, and I'm personally very confident in the matchup. I think obviously Funaki, a decent defender, but I think last game, obviously this team on a back-to-back, Memphis and Denver playing each other twice in a row. Yep. This guy's been producing at even for Jokic, an amazing level. The 3 previous games, he was at 2.02 DraftKings points per minute, which I don't think is a realistic expectation, but just to illustrate how well he has been producing. So, I think it's very easy to get any of the spend ups that you want tonight. And Jokic is, I would say, my second favorite.
Okay. What is your favorite while we're discussing it?
Joel Embiid.
Okay. Mine also. So that's one of the reasons I already have a Jokic dislike is the fact that he's taking away from some positional issue, depending on what site we're playing on.
Right.
That I think you can get with Joel Embiid. So I have Embiid projected for a little bit higher for a number of reasons, but there's some excellent things that I think you point out about Jokic that are very reasonable to point out. But the biggest reason I'm maybe a little bit disinclined is the fact that there's so many good centers to use on today's slate. Now, some you can use as power forward, and some are value, which we can turn into other players. But you have the value ranks of your Drew Eubanks and Thad Young and in theory your Mo Bamba. We don't have to Kem Birch now because they're still giving Precious Achiuwa that start, and so that's enough of a reason for me to not overreact to that. So this is a game again that we just saw. So it's interesting. I would in a vacuum have picked the over in this game. Which is, I think, 213 is where the over-under sat on this game. But it was interesting how low scoring this game was when these two teams just played on Monday. I think they had 100, 203, 205 points. Like, they did not put up a lot of points, which is interesting because the defense from both these teams are pretty bad. They're both getting out into pace quite a bit, into transition quite a bit. And I was surprised at how low scoring that game was when I watched it on Monday. There is, so I think there's all the ceiling in the world for Nikola Jokic, but purely as a points per dollar play, I like him less than Joel Embiid. I like him less than Jonas Valanciunas. In a situation where I again expect Brandon Ingram to sit, I don't think we have that news officially. I think with the additional news that Lauri Markkanen isn't going to play, the front court in Cleveland is minted even a little bit more. So you have Mobley who has forward eligibility, but Jared Allen still gets in play here. And just ownership will obviously play a role in my determination here, but I was surprised to see with such a paucity of tens that we tend to throw out there that you got Jokic all the way up to the Big Ten for me. I would have Jokic in that second tier for me. I would have Jokic closer to, say, Towns. He would be in that group for me and behind all these other guys we're talking about. He's still great. Like, I don't think he's a bad play by any means, but you gave out, 4 to 6 tens on each of the two sites we ranked, so I was surprised he got quite that high. Talk to me a little bit, if you want, about Jokic and then the various extant features with what's going on in Denver that helped him out a lot. Like, we obviously still have no Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr. has gotten off to a very slow and seemingly disinterested start. So I do think there is always a 80-point Jokic ceiling game in play because he's just doing so much for that team right now. Now, their offense has been a little poorer than I expect. His assist rate is down. Everything else is pretty much where we'd expect it to be. But talk to me a little more about Big Sexy.
Well, to be honest, Eddie, I was chalking the kind of like quote unquote down game at 49 3/4. Obviously a down game for what was an $11K price on that slate and now up to 11.4.
Yep.
I just think it's variance. Like, you look at the other game, like the other 6 games, that he's played this season. Like, you look 7 rebounds in his 33 minutes last game. His other 6 outputs, 19-16, 19-16, 13, and then 6, which was in 15 minutes in the game that he got a little boo-boo on his knee. And the assists were there. Obviously, 4 blocks you can't count on. I just think he gets back to kind of what he's been doing from a production standpoint, and I think we expect this game to remain competitive. So full minutes of Jokic on this slate is just something that I would want to invest in my lineups.
Okay. I don't find anything terribly unreasonable there. I think full minutes is definitely very likely, and he's it's just tough for me because he's not I worry about him upside. I don't think the matchup with Steven Adams is a particularly terrible one. These are two guys who have played at them a lot, and Jokic has managed to put up some very nice numbers against him sometimes in the past, but I don't think it's super upside matchup for him either. So it's a fairly average matchup. I just think we can pick and choose a little bit. We can go with Valanciunas against Sacramento gets destroyed by centers and gives up what has to be close to the most rebounds in the league, and they're going to feed incredibly because there's no Brandon Ingram. Or we can go with Embiid, no Simmons, no Harris, which should be completely ridiculous usage in a matchup I like even more against Vooch. So I guess it's by comparison. I think Jokic is just fine. He would be 9-10 line for me. I think it's the scenario that it's the it's some of the other options, I think, to sort of knock him out of that top tier for me.
Sure. When you're getting significant savings on a guy like Embiid or some of these other studs that are priced in the mid 9s to low 10s, obviously 11 games, you're going to have plenty of options to choose from. A lot of those, guys in the range between Jokic and Embiid, the subject of discussion in the Discord today, everybody from Steph Curry to Paul George, Luka Doncic going up against a tough San Antonio backcourt that he already struggled with once this season.
But again, very possibly no Kristaps there again.
Sure. But I mean, in terms of his fantasy rates, he does perform better with Kristaps on the court, right?
Yeah,
I believe that's. If I'm remembering correctly.
I don't think the ceiling is quite. It was fairly close as I recall, but I thought generally the ceiling wasn't as high, and I'm sort of ceiling hunting there a little bit. But yeah, I would. We could certainly do a stud by stud breakdown and talk about some of these guys. Let's talk about the Spurs for a second.
Okay. Well, and you talked about positional restrictions, even on DraftKings where you can play two. The fact Eubanks is only a center.
Right.
Not to bury the lead, Jakob Poeltl out in the COVID protocols.
Yes. So I think I think the odds that Drew Eubanks starts and plays like 30 minutes have been vastly overrated. I have seen some incredible projections today. I saw one site that had him projected for 30 minutes, another one that projected him for 29. Spoiler alert, either of those would be Drew Eubanks' career highs in minutes. Yeah. Drew Eubanks has played 28 minutes in a game once. That is a game that Jakob Poeltl was out. 27 minutes in a game once. That was a game Jakob Poeltl played, and it was the last game of the season. They just ran the bench out there a little bit. Yeah. And then has never exceeded 24 minutes in an NBA basketball game. Memory serving correctly here. I double-checked that. But so he's still 3K. He still should be great. If he starts, I'm much more interested in windmilling power forward eligible Thaddeus Young, whose ownership will go down and who I'm going to have projected for a few more minutes than Eubanks anyway. Right now, I have Thad at 25 and Eubanks at 22. I have very little sense of what the hell is going to happen here, let's be honest. There were 3 games. I think I remember all of these. There were 3 games that Jakob Poeltl didn't play last year. 2 against the Suns and 1 against the 76ers. And I remember this because the 76ers game ended up being close. And I think Eubanks started all 3. Eubanks started all 3 and played 28 minutes in the most one and then like 21 and 24 in the other 2. Weren't really foul trouble issues. One game was against the 76ers. I think he picked up 2 or 3 fouls against Embiid, but not a crazy number. They just gave a lot more time to, I want to say Gorgie Jang was backing him up at that point. But I remember there were 2 games that Poeltl missed against the Suns, and they won one game by 30 and lost the other by 40. I'm going to Google this because I just remember looking at this data point on the last day of last year, and I want to see if I can find this offhand. Is that? I don't have it. No, this is my Karl-Anthony Towns Ivica Zubac page. Ah, well. I'll look that one up later. But point being, I especially because of his center-only positionality, I would rather play other value guys to Drew Eubanks in a lot of situations. I like Drew Eubanks a lot. He's a very good fantasy basketball player. I used to actually suggest picking him on random days last year. He was one of those not out of play minimum price guys. You're like, this is gonna play 18 minutes, and he's a very fantasy point per minute guy. If we could do our game, I want to do it, but I would say he's north of a fantasy point per minute in his career. Yeah, I don't know if you want to take a swing at that, but I'm thinking he's like 1.05. I think he'd be north of 1 if we were to look this up.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Oh, okay. You don't want a piece of this. I understand. It's okay to be a fan.
Not yet. Look, come on, easing in. We got
okay. Just
then after dark.
Okay. So anyhow, just I don't know what our projections, your projections, what everyone is throwing Drew Eubanks out. 22 minutes, 24, 20, like 26 minutes is aggressive and ambitious in my opinion. But like 28 or 30 minutes is freaking absurd. They will find a way to play someone else at center. They played someone else at over center at him frequently last year, whether it was KBD, Katie Bates, D-Up would be out there and play center. They'd put Rudy Gay out at center. They like, we have a long history of them not wanting to throw that guy out there at center for more than 22, 24 minutes. So that is a point of concern that I would bring up with some series of projections I've seen.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned Thad Young. Kata Bates Diop, who I was, jokingly in the Discord.
I think we got the Cavs starters, and it's funky. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we did. It's Dean Wade starting at the 3 instead of Cedi Osman, who I and I think a lot of other people expected to start. We also got Trae Young in, Bogdan Bogdanovic in, Paul Millsap available for the Nets. John Collins remains a game time decision for Atlanta. But yeah, to your point, Pop can and frequently does do so many funky things when he has main rotation guys out. There's Thad Young there, who I think now I was leaning Eubanks about 45 minutes ago talking to Herm in the Discord, and I think now just positionally, I would rather Thad Young on DraftKings because of the power forward eligibility there and how much I want to get to an Embiid or a Jokic in most of my lineups. But you've got Jock Landale too there, who could take anywhere from 2 to 12 minutes away from some of these guys, and I think there's plenty of other value elsewhere, like a Svi Mikhailuk, who's guard forward eligible at 3.7. I would much rather run him out there, or a number of other guys that I'm sure we'll get to.
Herm just commented in the chat. He cratered last game. You want to check why he cratered? Because he played 18 minutes because he got 5 fouls in those 18 minutes. Yeah. Yes, he played fine. He had probably 18 or 19 fantasy points in those 18 minutes, if memory serves. So he couldn't keep his hands used to himself. So yeah, I like Triple J just fine. So do you have to play Eubanks? No, you don't have to play him in any format. If he's announced as starting, he's very good in cash. He's always going to be fadeable in GPPs for the obvious reasons. But I don't have an issue with you playing him and Thad. They could play next to each other some period of time. They're both wicked cheap. Don't really hate the matchup with Dallas either. So I'm fine with playing both of them. I kind of prefer playing both of them, honestly. If you're telling me I would probably prefer to play just Thad. My second preference would be probably to play Thad and him before I just played one of them, oddly enough, because I would rather find a way to differentiate. Especially with Kristaps out, this game can end up going really small. We can get huge amounts of Jalen Brunson. We can get, like Keldon Johnson, I think is, he's been really, really bad this year. But
after kind of a hot start too.
Yeah. I think, so I think there is, some equity there, but there's a lot of different configurations of guys we can throw out here. I mean, if you look at, game logs, they usually are very rarely running these guys out next to each other, but they've been liking to run 3 centers. Like their center rotation in a lot of games is literally like Pirtle, Eubanks, Pirtle, Thad, where Eubanks just plays like 1 7-minute chunk in the first quarter, and then Pirtle plays like 5 things, and like there's some really weird center rotations they're going there, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them emulate that in a certain case. And again, with the opportunity cost of giving up center only, I'm a little disinclined towards that. Let's talk about some of the value guards. There's all these value bigs out there. Well, let's talk about the White D Wade.
Yeah, sure. Getting the start for Cleveland. We actually did just get a question from Woolsey, or I did, asking Wade or Eubanks. I would personally still Eubanks as long as he starts on DraftKings. But Wade certainly in play. The Cavaliers been running an extremely tight rotation. Obviously been missing Kevin Love in the protocols. Isaac Okoro's been out for a while. But, really moving Laurie to the 3 has kind of solidified the front court minutes for Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and now with him out, I think there's a lot of places we can attack on this Cleveland team. How do you feel about the White Wade, as you put it?
Yeah, I like everyone on Cleveland to an extent that never makes you feel comfortable. And you're like, geez, I like all the Cavs, but here we are. My least favorite Cav that we expect. Like, you can still play Chetty Osman, by the way. Now, he's probably gonna end up under-owned because people are or over-owned still, because people will jettison, but not enough that he's not like 20% owned. And if we go back and look at some of the coaches' comments, they basically so Coach Bickerstaff made it clear that Chetty wasn't going to play like all the nights. They said they liked him and he makes big shots for the team, but they want to make sure that different guys are going to play different nights. And the fact that he's not starting indicates that there's, some chance that minute total stays at a much more tolerable level. And again, he played, I want to say 21 minutes in the last game. Go check out my rotations here. Pat Beverly is in and most likely will start. Okay, so that ruined. Look at all our value is disappearing here.
Yeah, goodbye,
I mean, not
McLaughlin.
disappearing, but your Malik Beasley and Jordan McLaughlin bits took a little bit of a kick in the hay now.
Chetty was just under 21 minutes for reference in that last game.
Right. So now Laurie. Okay, remind me, Laurie started and played that full game. We were just dealing with.
Let's see, Laurie, Cleveland.
Laurie played that game. Laurie played that full game.
Yep, he played 35 minutes.
Right. Chetty got some extra time because Okoro was out. Okay, I'm good now. Okoro went out in the middle of that game. I think I got it now. And Okoro is still out. So, okay. Let me go back in here and reproject this thing.
So Okoro, I think, has been out multiple games.
What, he went out 1 or 2 games ago?
Let me double
check. I have it up right now. He last played on the 25th, so this will be his 4th game out. You are absolutely correct, sir.
Yeah, but I mean, Dean Wade still got. He was almost at.
It was Kevin Love.
Yes,
going into the protocol, so that really minted Mobley and Jared Allen, those guys as well. So there we go. That was so all these things just condensed them to go with. I want to say they only ran an 8-man rotation last game. They ran just.
That's what they've been doing. I think 8 or 9, pretty much every game.
Yeah, I think they went to an 8-man rotation. I will confirm this. A little slower on this here. That was the Charlotte game. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, they run the 8-man rotation. And now Lauri Markkanen is out. So, yeah, the only guys that ran off the bench were Rubio, Wade, and Osman. So now they have 7 guys that they would have played in that last game. So, who do I think is going to get added to this squad? Back through all my notes. I don't think they'll run a 7-man rotation.
That seems like a bit much, even for JB.
I'm trying to figure out whether or not who I prefer now is Svi Mikhailuk or
Pat Bev or Wade.
No, definitely not Pat Bev. I meant Svi Mikhailuk or Chetty Osman. Like Chetty Osman can still take some shots and make some buckets, and I would have liked to have seen the start, but still coming off the bench here, I think I'm still going to have him projected for very nearly 30 minutes. I'm trying to figure out this exact rotation real quick. So,
quite a strong reaction, too, to me suggesting a 3-7 Patrick Beverley. He's been decent this year with his fantasy production on the T-Wolves.
Yeah, but it was his calf again, which is his all ballpark 4th calf injury. If someone wants to look up I can't, and they just have enough guys to cover. Like, he's been decent. I mean, if he starts, which apparently is going to be likely, I don't think he's out of play. But I really worry about him getting in there. There's people asking you about Suggs. You want to talk about the Big O a little bit?
Yeah, we can, shift to Orlando. Suggs, I believe I gave him a 9. I love Jalen Suggs tonight.
Okay.
Part of it, not really part of him getting to the 9 ranking, part of my love for him is that he's just underperformed, certainly when you compare him with Cole Anthony. I think people are maybe going to chase Cole Anthony's production, which is obviously it's been fine. And then the massive, near 30-point triple-double 2 nights ago against the T-Wolves, 6 of 11 from 3. Great game by him. His second 60-plus DK point game on the young season. But if you look at Jalen Suggs and just kind of like the underlying numbers, he's been shooting like shit. I mean, he's slashing 31, 24, 88 right now. Not a particularly elite shooter, I guess, for lack of a better term, in college. But a better shooter certainly than he's shown thus far in his young career. And I think that we're going to see him be more of a plus one DK point per minute player going forward. I think this game does stay competitive, and he should get low to mid 30s in minutes. And at 5'4", I think he's going to put up a really good score for you at pretty low ownership. So I have no issue if you want to go to Cole Anthony because he's been solid. I just think on this slate, it's too expensive of an ask for me to roster a 7-6 Cole Anthony. I do think it's a good game environment.
I think Cole Anthony gets guarded most by Marcus Smart. So, the defensive assignments matter a lot for me here. And so that's another reason that, I would rather zag when they zig and go to Jalen Suggs at lower price, lower ownership, all that goodness. So, I think I'm with you there. Someone says, do we still like Beasley with Pat Beverly? And I mean, not nearly as much. We were hoping those, minutes would be a little more open and free flowing. They just have a lot of guys that moving guys around. They can throw minutes to everyone from Nora to McLaughlin to there's a lot of ways they can reconfigure that lineup now. So definitely is going to I still think you can play Beasley. He's just been I would really expect Draymond to be covering Miles Bridges to answer the question that came in the end there. Okay, a couple good questions for you here. With Eubanks being only center and Joval and Embiid being in great spots, is it worth wasting a center spot? So hard for me to get off what looks like a great value. Sorry for asking again. So my best answer would be in one lineup in cash or GPPs, I probably wouldn't be playing Eubanks because there is a lot of other very decent value. And we especially don't know he's necessarily starting yet. So leaving that spot is fine. I like stacking Embiid and Jokic. I like stacking Jokic and Valanciunas. I like stacking, Embiid and Valanciunas. I like stacking Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen and one of those guys. Like, it's just a lot of very good center eligible guys. I think Mobley is power forward eligible. So I especially like him in that spot, but you can certainly get to both of them. I expect Draymond Green to guard Miles Bridges. I give 8-1 on that as him being his largest individual defender. Kawhisenberg, can you explain the 10 on Jason Tatum with a 1.15 multiplier while Mobley is only a 9 with a 1.45 multiplier? Does Tatum have 65 raw upside to take down a SuperDraft GPP? 65 would be good at 1.15. That's like 74 and some change if I'm doing the math in my head right there. Let's talk about the.
I was just typing that in the chat, but
Tatum a little bit. We were just talking about Orlando. Let's look across the ball.
Yeah, to me, and obviously it's a different puzzle, if you will, on SuperDraft. And for me, Jason Tatum sitting off that multiplier floor at 1.15x. This is a guy that's likely going to shoot 22 to 25 times in this game with upside for maybe 30 shot attempts. And with him sitting off that floor multiplier, he's just somebody that I would really consider rostering when I was building out a SuperDraft lineup tonight. You'll frequently see when I'm doing my SuperDraft rankings, a lot of those studs get 10s. And that's because I like to lock in some of that high floor production into my lineups.
I totally get your Jokic on SuperDraft where he even gets 1.05. That extra 5% is relevant. So if he's 60 raw or whatever, that gives you 63. It's a perfectly tolerable number. Really unlikely to have a terribly small floor there. I like that more than at DK where there is the additional salary expenditure. So that was the one that I found the larger issue with there. I would have both Tatum and I would have Mobley slightly higher than Tatum on SuperDraft. I would invert those a little bit, and I would probably have Tatum closer to a 9 and Mobley closer to a 10. Now, I think they're both very strong plays. I think Mobley has to play. I think he played 40 minutes last game. He's going to play 40 minutes again. And I will not go into great detail, but I will say Portland's defense is fucking bad. Like, they're bad right now. I don't
all the detail needed.
They're bad. And now these guys are locked into playing. Like, again, we have only 7 guys we know are playing in that rotation. They might just play 7 guys. I don't think that's very likely. They probably add Lamar Stevens, I think it is, or like one of those guys is going to crack in there for some time. But Mobley in a great matchup is going to play 40 minutes, which I think he flirted with already once this year. Like, dude's going to play 40 minutes. They are not on a back-to-back, which the Celtics are, by the way. The Celtics do play again tomorrow. That's a minor cookie off Tatum for me. He forgot how to shoot. That's the bigger issue for me. Like he's shot, like he and Damian Lillard, to go back to the Celtics, are just a couple guys who are like, I can't see the difference. And I actually put not a ton of time, but 3 minutes into just watching their shot. And I can't figure out what's busted about it. And maybe I'm just looking at a 6-7 game sample and it's just going to work itself out and it's not a thing. But his shot's fairly busted right now. So for me, definitely more GPPs for Tatum, but 1.15, yes, he can put up 65 raw to give you 60, 74 and 3/4 modified if I'm doing that right in my head. And that's, and again, it's, I think, a pretty good matchup for it. I would rather play Jaylen Brown if he has a slightly higher multiplier. It's close. Like
1.2.
1.2, right. Like that's actually really close. That's about where they should be. So those are well-priced men. But Jalen's going to have Jalen will have what I think is sort of the better defensive matchup here. Not that Tatum's is going to be particularly hard. They're both going to see lots of rookies. There's going to be lots of, not that Cole Anthony is a great defender. The whole team is kind of balls at defense, honestly. Like Bomba's pretty good. Bud Carter's getting better, but you have, Anthony next to Suggs and Wagner. Those are exploitable guys. And so like it's reasonable to get to Brown or Tatum or Smart, by the way. If you told me I had to play one Celtic right now, yeah, I think at DK prices, my favorite Celtic would actually probably be Marcus Smart. And let's not forget there's a bit of a squeaky wheel thing here too.
You think he's gonna get more shots here today? I feel like the appropriate reaction in the Boston locker room should be shut the fuck up.
First of all, I agree. You don't say that publicly. You and I agree on that. You and I and again, you have a much more realistic, much more nuanced, modern sense of, locker room behavior. But yeah, you don't say that. Now, that being said, Udoka came out and said a number of things that sounded like he was defending Smart. He said they need to do a better job of getting the ball out when defenses blitz Tatum. And he said, I trust the other guys on the team, but Tatum and Jalen to make shots. And again, you and I agree, you don't do that. If you think those guys need to pass more, then you're a leader on the team and you're a veteran. You pull those guys aside and you go, hey guys, not that those guys are kids anymore. Jason Tatum no longer 14 years old, but you pull those guys aside and go, hey, I think you guys are forcing some shots. A couple of us out here can shoot. Al's got a couple years in the league, and then I can make a bucket or two. I've had 8 threes in a game or whatever. Yeah, that would have been the smarter way to do that. But that being said, I still think it is more likely that those guys are more likely to pass the ball than they're like, oh, fuck you, I'm taking 35 shots. I still think it would be more likely that it would grease the other way, but that's an interesting question. Matisse Thybulle is getting the start. Matisse, the piece.
Yeah, so we got a couple lineups here. Same 5 for the Magic. Anthony Suggs, Franz Wagner, Carter Jr., and Bamba.
He's very good. Go ahead.
Yeah, hell of a game from him last time out. Sixers starting Maxey, Curry, Thybulle, Korkmaz, and Embiid. Bulls starting the same 5, normal 4 plus Javonte Green.
Okay. Hold on. Let's back up and do this one at a time.
Sure.
Okay, so the Magic are starting who we expected them to. The Sixers, you said, are starting Maxey, Curry, Thybulle, Korkmaz, and Embiid. Okay, it's worth pointing out that hi, Robots, how you doing there? Korkmaz is going to be playing the 3 there, and Matisse is playing the 4, which is relevant in a couple ways when you look at the matchup. So that was, I think, the most likely. I'm just trying to re-amortize how I feel about George Niang at this point. That's all I'm looking at. So I want to just take a minute and
I don't think you get anywhere near 16 shot attempts again.
That's the first one. I mean, there is a lot of users. Where's the? I apologize for it. The chin confirmed. So a couple things here. Yes, I think there's a lot of excellent value with more obvious ways to get to a ceiling than George Niang again. Now, I really okay, hold on. I just want to
Brogdon in and starting. I don't know if I missed that, but I just saw that.
Okay.
Duarte staying in the starting
I'm
lineup?
not gay, but damn fast Eddie Fear. I feel like, so again, this, by the way, is no shaving whatsoever for 4 days. This is the way my facial hair comes in. That's 30 years of having a goatee. Like, I just cannot grow a real beard, in case you were curious. I do not have a man's facial hair growth, but I appreciate all the kind and strangely homoerotic words. I'm not gay either, but thanks. That feels good. I like that. So anyway, okay. So I would much rather play Shake Milton than George Niang. Yeah. I look at the guards matchup as the superior one to target here. I think he'll be massively lower owned. They just announced that his minutes limit has been entirely evaporated as he recovers from his ankle injury. So yeah, I would rather play Shake Milton. I think that's the fun thing to do. So yes, I think I would rather play Shake Milton to George Niang as one example. I would probably rather play Joel Embiid to everyone. Obviously center cost, expense cost, very relevant, but 10-3 is really cheap, and there is a real nothing weird needs to happen for Joel Embiid to score 80 fantasy points tonight. Like, he should have like a 38 usage or something.
I think it might be a little higher.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's a real goddamn. Yeah, Kawhisenberg looks incredibly cute. I don't look cute relative to him. I look like what Kawhisenberg would look like if he like fell into a lake and decomposed for a few days. Like, would just get like a little flappier and older, and just. I'm not. By the way, I'm in the middle of my weight loss challenge. It's going to be close. I said whether or not I could hit 215 pounds by my birthday, which is only 12 days out. So it's going to be close. I have lost 20 pounds. We're close. Embiid or Joker? I have Embiid much higher on DraftKings. On SuperDraft, I have them basically tied because I have him for basically the same fantasy points. On DraftKings, I have him for literally more fantasy points by, I think, a fantasy point for $1,100 less. Corporate Eddie is heel turn Eddie. Yes, I've joined the corporation. That's absolutely fair. Yeah, okay. Well, let's stop talking about what I look like. I look like maybe Kawhisenberg lost a bet in the future and came back to tell him about it, but yeah, that's fine. There's some looper action here. That's very good. Collins is still a game time decision. All right, so let's talk about let's back up a little bit there. So I would rather get to probably Shake Milton is my favorite GPP piece of value there. If I'm looking at the Sixers, what say
you? Yeah. I was really high on him last game as well. I think he's just fine. I had him in as an 8 at 3.9. I mean, I think I'm kind of starting to think about Seth Curry and what he did last game, what we know he can do with the extra opportunity with Tobias Harris out.
I had Philadelphia prices. Let me check all the Philly prices because
he's at 5.6.
Yeah.
I mean, I think right now the only guy that's completely out of play for me on DraftKings is Andre Drummond. I'm just kind of considering bumping Seth Curry up to an 8 because I don't think 5.6 is expensive enough.
I agree. I think you should be an 8, or you could even argue a 9, but it would be in there. So this Chicago team has done better defensively than I expect them to be able to hold up.
Yes, I agree.
Part of it was, I think, easier schedule. There's a lot going on there, but the defensive personnel here should not be able to continue to perform at what I think is currently a top 10 level. So it's not terribly relevant for the conversation we're having here, except to say, like, I do think all these guys have a real upside. So Curry, Korkmaz, Tybal, Niang, I think, again, are the guys we're talking about. We talk about Fox. Been shooting very poor this year and got to assume the ownership be way down. Yeah, so getting to Fox is nice. The matchup we certainly like, especially them being down some people, though historical indicators that are negative. You're sort of dealing with, again, a Lillard, Tatum, Now the difference is between like Lillard and Tatum and Fox. Fox actually looks wrong to me. When I watch,
like injured or out of shape, or sorry to interrupt. That's interesting.
I think I would say more injured than out of shape. It looks to be what appears to be more of a hitch than out of shape. You tend to see more hands on the hips, more walking. And when I think of, and I can't even, like, I'm having trouble quantifying why I came to that conclusion, but like I watched Tatum and he looks like Jason Tatum. I don't see anything different. I watched Lillard and he looks like Damian Lillard. I don't think I see anything different. For what it's worth, Lillard said the same thing. He's like, I don't even feel anything wrong. I just feel like I'm going up. I'm in the right spot. I take a shot. My mechanics feel good. I think it's going to go in, and then it doesn't. It's hard to have, small sample size of 100 and whatever shots, but we'll see. But Fox, something in his giddy up, like if you told me he had some sort of lingering hip thing, something when he takes off for his shots. And again, that's really been the thing for him is he's been slumping as a shooter. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm gonna put a few more minutes into taking a good look at that. But for whatever my subconscious opinion is, I would be more surprised if something were structurally wrong with Lillard or Tatum than I would be with Fox. If we find out in a week that like Fox has a hip flexor issue, I'd be like, okay, that explains it. He looks just a little junky when he comes off the ground.
Yeah. Ezekiel pointing out the Wilson ball is allegedly the one to blame here.
Okay, talk to me about that because I've heard this referentially.
Yeah, I actually didn't know until the last 36 hours that they changed the ball. I haven't read up too much on it. I don't think it's because I remember when they went from the full leather ball to that composite, sweat doesn't stick to it. That was a decade ago.
And people were like, fuck that noise. I remember that very well.
That ball was very different. I had not heard anything about them making drastic changes to the game ball. And to be honest, I'm not going to speculate because I just don't know what the changes are. But I saw people complaining about it.
Yep. Yeah, that's part of. I mean, then you have randomly Ja Morant started by making it. So it was really weird. There was people blamed the ball, people blamed the foul rules. People blamed a lot of things. I think half of it is
calf injuries or hamstring injuries from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Specifically, James Harden. I don't know if you heard him talking about that, but
yeah. Of course. So I think I would rather play LaMelo Ball than play De'Aaron Fox in general. What say you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Damian Lillard is obviously been the subject every time he's on the slate of is this the one where he gets back to being Damian Lillard? Is it Dame time finally? I just think even if he does, the upside of LaMelo Ball on a night-to-night basis, and we've seen it back-to-back games now, is just higher. He contributes in more categories, and I just think he's a more productive player in almost all facets right now. I would much rather, especially in this game where Charlotte, West Coast trip, national TV game, Steph Curry and the Warriors. We've seen the minutes also solidify over the last two games, which is interesting with Rozier coming back. Now, I don't think that's a direct correlation, but Rozier comes back, LaMelo gets, over 30 minutes. I would rather LaMelo than Damian Lillard tonight.
Yeah, and if we look more at the specifics of
John
the
Collins
matchup,
will start. Sorry.
John Collins will play and start?
Yes, sir.
That's a shame. I think people were going to fuck that up. Are they starting their normal starters? Because they have come out repeatedly and said, we are going to rest starters with regularity, and they're on a front end of a back-to-back. Did they start Trey Bogdan, Cam, Hunter, Clint?
I have not seen a
five. Or did they start Trey Bogdan, Reddish? Yeah, Trey Bogdan, Reddish, Collins, Clint, or Hunter, Collins?
I would think it would be Hunter still, but I haven't seen the lineup yet.
Okay. Well, let's figure that the hell out.
Yeah, we will keep our eyes peeled.
Fox is getting used to the extra 15 or 20 pounds he put on the offseason. He's obviously thicker, but his movement is different.
Mm-hmm.
Is Gordon Hayward broken? I haven't seen it, but I haven't put the time into that. I spend all my time watching LaMelo when I'm watching that team. Thoughts on Eubanks versus Embiid on SuperDraft? I'm gonna have Embiid. Yep. Like I don't know what Eubanks modifier is on SuperDraft, but it's gonna have to be a number that we don't put people up to. Is he 2.0? Like he'd have to be 2.0 for this.
He is
2.0. Yeah, I mean, I think a good projection for Drew Eubanks. I think I currently have him at 22 minutes, 24 fantasy points. So that would give him a modified 48 on SuperDraft as one hypothetical example. I have Embiid for like whatever the fuck it is, 58 raw and 63 modified or something like that. I have him for slightly more than Jokic.
So the Easy B just asked if Collins being in downgrades Bogdan for me, and for me it doesn't. It was just a price play. I think he's 5.2 on DraftKings. I think he's been producing at a much lower rate than I think will end up playing out throughout the entire regular season. So I had him at a 9. I thought he's a really good low-owned GPP play in that matchup.
It's 5.1.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Just giving you the heads up. I still think a 9 is too high for me. Okay. With Collins, and I don't think anyone here is a priority. It's not as good as a matchup as you might see. Obviously, everyone is going to be really low owned. Mm-hmm. So 4,000 on Hunter, but like especially with no one resting, this team's really deep. Like you have. Like Trey is going to play 33, 34 minutes or whatever, but like everyone else is going to play 29 minutes. So their bench is so incredibly deep with Gorgie is there now. And then Kevin Huerter is back from his ankle injury. I don't know if he'll play today, but if he does, it really wrecks Bogey. Like he played one game, played 15 minutes, then rested the next one, which was weird. But I think they want to develop him. And they have, what's his name? Delon Wright is there. And Lou Williams is there. Like, it's an incredibly deep team. Yeah. They have the best 7th to 12th best players in the league. Like, they, in theory, have 12 guys who can start an NBA game. So
those guys just haven't been playing, though. Like, McMillan's not running DeLon Wright and Lou Williams more than, like, 14, 15 minutes a game.
I just think but it's enough minutes that I think I'm – What do you have Bogdan projected for minutes? I have 28 or 29.
At 30.
Right.
But I think you've talked me into like I'm going to downgrade him to an 8 because I just think on this slate 9 indicates I guess a bit more of a priority. I do think he's an above average GPP play today. I'll say that.
Can I Anthony and Wagner the same lineup without a Celtic on SuperDraft? Yes, I would not have an issue with that. Neither of them super priorities for me, but both very much in play. So sure. Does it downgrade Bogdan? And I would actually disagree. It does downgrade Bogdan because I think with Collins out, my minutes, I could spend 10 minutes on this, but I'm going to ballpark it to save 10 minutes of show. I think with John Collins out, my Bogdan minutes projection goes up by 1 or 1.5. It's a really relevant amount because what happens is they start playing Hunter more at the 4 than at the 3, and that lets Reddish play at the 3 instead of the 2. And now Bogdan plays a couple extra minutes, or someone gets a couple extra minutes. Might be Lou Williams, might be Delon. I don't fucking know. But it would at least be a relevant amount of time. So it's not a huge amount, but it would change my projection by 3% or some relevant number there.
Sure. Eubanks will start, and Doug McDermott will also slide back in for Lonnie Walker.
Interesting. Okay, So a couple things to point out there. Really limits the Dougie being back in there as well. Does limit the Keldon time. That was already a little bit of a stretch. I would rather play Thad Young. I think, it'll be interesting to see what Dallas really does down low here. Do we have Kristaps official news?
I have not heard or seen anything about that, but I do just briefly want to. I don't think that Doug being back hurts Keldon's minutes too much. I think it pushes Bryn Forbes out of the rotation.
I think it takes minutes off Lonnie, obviously. I think it pushes Bryn Forbes out of the rotation. I think it hurts Devin Vassell's time a little bit. And I think we lose some chance of seeing like Thad next to Eubanks.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
And I don't, so like it affects a lot of guys in different ways. I would still say I think I would end up having Keldon projected for a minute less, but I don't know the Spurs as well as you do, and I'd really need to. Their rotations give me a fucking headache. Like I mentioned, literally, there's games where they do like Pirtle at center. They literally go Pirtle, Eubanks, Pirtle, Thad in the first half. Right, and then there's like KBD randomly comes in, or there's and God forbid there's a blowout, which they've been in a large propensity of those recently. So I don't know how screwed I am thinking Thad gets this much time at the 4, but I do think McBuckets being back would reduce my Keldon guess by a minute, but I don't have a ton of confidence in it, so I will move on. Slow-mo or Beasley? Well,
slow-mo for me.
I have slow-mo as well, but I'm going to look this up on both sites.
If you bring Davion Mitchell into that conversation, it's Davion for me. Although don't expect the same type of performance we got last night. It's just the minutes for me. Decent matchup. 7 for 15. Clearly capable of shooting like that again. I just think,
I would have those guys actually Beasley. I would actually have them in almost the opposite order of you. I have Beasley slightly higher. I have Beasley slightly higher than Slow-mo, slightly higher than Davion Mitchell.
So Beasley coming off the bench.
Yes.
Right, with Patrick Beverley coming back.
Yes.
What's the draw there? Is it just the extra usage? Like obviously the minutes have been
I don't know how much the ownership is going to get goosed here, but I still have them in, I think, 27 or 28 minutes.
That makes sense.
This is a game that I actually am fairly interested in targeting. The Clips have been a little bit porous there. They're having trouble dealing with smalls quite a bit. And we've actually had extensive Lou coach commentary toward that end. I just think I'm a little more inclined that way. Slow-mo, I still have Beasley projected very slightly the highest of those. I imagine Slow-mo is the lowest owned of them, or Davion, but none of them are going to be terribly owned. So, I would land that way, but it's a good question because I do have them all really, really close. Caruso or Shake Milton? I think it's Shake Milton for me. Shake Milton is a guy who does regularly hit a ceiling. There's obviously a massive floor as well, but they literally just said he is off his minutes limit. It's going to have all kinds of usage on the second unit. The amount of time he plays next to Embiid will be more limited, which is a very good thing. He's played 3 games this year. He's taken a lot of shots in his time on the court. So I would land a little bit more there on him. But Caruso, Chicago game, obviously also going to go. I think that game goes small on both sides. So I think you get extra minutes for Shake and extra minutes for Caruso. And there's a team balance question there. Like it's close enough for me. I can see Shake being, the choice unless you have Embiid, which brings it even closer to even. But I assume Ingram is still sitting tonight. It would be very weird for me if they ran Ingram out there again, especially on the back end of the back-to-back. Devontae Graham is really sort of the question there as to the guy who may or may not start, but I imagine they I feel like that's a game we should talk about more, especially.
Wait, did you say? Sorry, I spaced for the last 10 seconds of you talking. Did you say Devontae Graham may not start, or who were you?
My impression was that let me. Why did I have? I think he's still sitting at probable. Yeah, I just had a probable questionable thing. So Devontae Graham should play again. We have no real reason to think that he won't. He is technically probable. He has, I think, an abductor issue. But I imagine we will see the same team we saw yesterday with Trey Murphy picking up that extra time and starting next to Josh Hart. But there's some guys to talk about here. Obviously, I like Jonas Valanciunas, but what do you think about the rest of this Pelicans team? That being, this is a matchup we have to like. I think Valanciunas is the obvious choice.
Sure. But you're paying the price for it.
Yeah.
I think he's a little underpriced, probably. Certainly for what he's been producing, right around 50 fantasy points the last 3 games or so.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh Hart at 4.9.
Yeah.
As long as Ingram is out, I think that's my favorite play from this team. Probably followed by Trey Murphy again. As long as he gets the start for Herb there. We finally saw him kind of get the minutes in that second half after Jones went out with a concussion last night that I thought at least he would be getting right from the rip this season, at least the way Willie Green was talking about Murphy in the preseason. So at his price, and I think because that game is going off at, just refresh myself here, the Hammer,
that's
right?
10
Eastern.
That's the Hammer, yeah. It's like
I like Trey Murphy a good bit. He got a 9 for me as one of my preferred values on the slate.
Yeah, I think that's just fine. I would agree with that, and I think that's what I had him in my ranks originally as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Najee Marshall is still interesting at 3,500. I mean, I have all those guys in a pretty tight band from literally Trey Murphy to Garrett Temple to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's up to 6,600, but he's going to now play 30 whatever minutes. There's a lot of usage to go around on that team. I think I probably rank them in order of preference: Valanciunas, Hart, Trey, Marshall, Graham, but there's 7 or 8 very viable guys on this team now.
I can't do Najee tonight just on such a large slate with so many acceptable to great values. He didn't get a boost last night when Jones went out, and Ingram's been out. So I just don't see why I would bump him up here. If he starts, then I think that's a fine swap.
I don't think that's likely, but any of those guys randomly start, they're great. I assume Trey Murphy will start again.
Yeah.
So I think Najee Marshall, Kira Lewis, those are probably a bit too far. Who projects better for you, OG or Van Vliet? I do have Van Vliet. Last game was great. It was his career high in usage. He's obviously a different player this year, so that's going to come this year. I'm not saying it's fool's gold. Most of it is not. Is Eubanks good or bad chalk? He is probably not going to be worth his ownership. He will probably be overowned. So he is probably slightly bad chalk. We will see exactly how owned he is, but if he's 50% owned on this slate, that's probably to the hell high. But he's a 3K guy who's starting at center. So it's not going to be bad, if you know what I'm saying. It's not PJ Tucker starting at power forward, projecting for 9 fantasy points, 60% owned. It's hard an option again on SD. Absolutely. SuperDraft Trey at 1.15, Shake at 1.65, Caruso at 1.7. Rank those, please. I'm going to have Trey barely the highest of those offhand. Again, those SuperDraft modifiers aren't quite high enough. One of the things that some value plays just don't work on SuperDraft because there are prices of guys on FanDuel and DraftKings at 3K or 3,500 who are very good if they get 25 fantasy points, and with a maximum of 2x on SuperDraft, that's not really enough. So if you're going to go with Caruso or Shake, if they had 2.0 multipliers, you need them to get 30. And they don't. They have 1.7 and 1.65 multipliers. So if Shake gets 40, which is a really good game for him, that gets him 66. That's about what you need to target for a modified number on SuperDraft on a giant slate like this. So my answer there is going to be Trey more often than not, unless you realistically think you can project Shake or Caruso for 40, and I very much do not think you can. Favorite 5.3K play at the guard position, falling on Trent Jr., but already has V negative correlation. I guess. Having 2 Raptors at those prices against the Wizards doesn't bother me incredibly, but they are technically slightly negatively correlated, similar position or whatever.
I would have Bogdan there.
You would have Bogdan where? I must be missing
a guard under 5'3".
Can you extrapolate a few ways Thad doesn't work out? I have a nervous amount. So Thad was literally out of the rotation for a couple games. He
just doesn't play. Yeah.
There's ways he doesn't work out. Pop plays him 12 minutes. Thad has played 4 games this year. The most minutes he has played in a game is 16. To be clear. So that's how it doesn't work out. I like that a lot. I have him projected for, I think, 24 minutes in my last run. But his forward eligibility is nice. There is a lot of value around. I don't think you need to go there. I generally would prefer to play Dean Wade to Thad at this point. He's got better matchup. Thad's got to deal with Dallas. Dean Wade gets Portland, which is close to best possible matchup at this point. You're saving $1,000. And I have Dean Wade for 31 minutes, which might be low if he plays anything the way he's been playing those other guys. But I think he stays mostly with Chetty, and there's some downside there. But I'm probably a little more excited about Dean Wade. Now, I should say, Thad has had his best probably points per, like he's played really well last year and this year. He's playing a lot of center, so there's a reason that he spent a lot of his career scoring 0.8, 0.9 fantasy points per minute, and he's at like 1.1 this year. He's playing fucking center. Everyone scores more fantasy points when they play center versus the 4, even the 3 where they stuck Thad for a while earlier in his career. Mm-hmm. But the way, like, if I had like 50% Thad, yeah, I'd probably roll that back too. I think he's a very, very good GPP play because I think there's going to be like 50% Drew Eubanks and like 17% Thad. I would rather have Thad. But if you're saying how does it go wrong, yeah, they just don't fucking play him. is how that blows up in a hurry.
So we did cross lock for the main slate here. Can we because I would take Thad there. Can we put that on the board? Thad versus Dean Wade?
Not raw points, because that wasn't my concept. I was saying saving $1,000. I would much rather I would rather go Dean Wade. If you want to, like, you'd have to compensate me or something. I still have Thad projected for more fantasy points. Sadly.
Here's a good question. Good to see G Funk in here. Batum over Thad for you? For me, that is a big yes. 30 plus minutes of Batum, I will take that over the Thad Young uncertainty.
I guess maybe big yes is strong. I will look back at my projections, but I still think I have the Deuce projected for more. I have Thaddeus Young projected for 3/4 of a fantasy point more than Nick Batum. Now, Nick Batum is going to be, 14% owned, and Thad Young's going to be 22. We'll go with this, some hypothetical numbers there. But let's do some ownership. Give me my single digit Shake Milton ownership.
Let me pull that up.
Yeah, do it.
So I thought as I do that, last week we did. I still need to mark on the board. We did Cat versus Paul George, and you and all your cohorts in the chat that sided with you, those people got a free SuperDraft ticket.
Yeah,
you got a win on the board.
Sure.
So we started the show off talking about Jokic versus Embiid. I know you have them projected nearly identically.
Yeah, for production.
Would you care to stick with your man Embiid and kind of we could do a SuperDraft points prop between us because they're both 1.05, right? Actually, I think Embiid's 1 flat.
I think they're both 1. I think they're both 1 on 5. I think. Double check. I believe they are both 1 on 5.
Denver 105. Yep, 105.
Yeah, so sure, it's gonna be SuperDraft points. I will take.
Yeah,
I will take my boy JoJo,
the
man who thought he was something else.
All right, well, I'll get that typed up, and we can continue on.
You're typing it up.
Yeah,
like a TPS report. Is there a cover
to put in the chat so everybody can click their emojis?
Oh, okay, that's it, man. I thought you were like tracking our shit like legit. Like I was like, oh shit,
no.
Typing these answers in.
No, we just we use the white. But I have ownership ready. One of the benefits, Eddie, of the new angle here, the new laptop is speedy ownership from the first game. So I'm ready to go when you are.
It's not one game, it's 5 games, right? Just to be clear.
I believe so.
Didn't we just lock like half the fucking slate? Like I think we locked 5 of 11 or whatever it is.
I got the schedule right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 of 11. And only one going off at the half hour here. Atlanta at Brooklyn.
No, what's interesting is I think a lot of this ends up being pretty low owned. Can you do a sum? Can you tell me
doing it right now?
Like I'm gonna say 5 of 11 games.
It is.
I'm gonna say we're like 270%.
Not that low. 328.
328. That's not that bad off. That is 65.6 per game when a game should have been about 74. So okay, we're about 10% off. Thoughts on the Ben Simmons circus? Yeah. See, that's always tough for me because I don't know if he's actually suffering from any, and I'm really using air quotes on this, real mental or emotional distress. I just don't know. Obviously, I think it's more likely that he's being a bit of a cunt. Like just calling it what it is. I think that is the most likely scenario. But I have to take pause because I've gone out of my way to support DeMar DeRozan and to support Kevin Love and to support other people who have spoken about the mental rigors of being in a situation. So while I think the most likely scenario is he's probably, just being a bit of a prat, there's some chance he's actually cracking a bit upstairs, in which case I have to so I just don't know. I'm not in the room. Like, what do I think is going on? Most likely he's being a little bit entitled and not being the best teammate. And yeah, I don't like that. But if there's some chance he actually isn't in mental condition to play, then the worst thing he needs is another asshole like me from 1,000 miles away being like, oh, you pansy. Like, I don't want to be that guy. So it's honestly a really tough spot for me. So I'm based on everything else I've seen about him, what's going on. I do think the most likely scenario is he is, being spoiled. But I am dubious about weighing in too heavily because, I think we're establishing a bad precedent where anyone who wants something and doesn't get it goes, well, I guess I'm having a mental breakdown here. Can't show up for work. Yeah, that's fucking obviously awful. And by the way, if he were doing that, I would be more angry about that than anything else he's doing. Like not supporting his team, asshole-ish, don't like it. Negotiating with the team in bad faith, don't like it. Disrespecting the fans and what's an amazing sports city of Philadelphia, not cool. Making light of the real mental health issues other people deal with, you fuck right off. Like, that's the one that would absolutely drive me to the fucking moon. The rest of that is to some degree business, and I've always been a very pro-player, anti-team kind of guy. So, as this is obviously a bridge too far for me, but I still tend to land on that side of the equation. But if you're just like, oh, I guess I'm having a mental health issue, yeah, that's the one that would really grind my gears. Do I think he gets traded? Ever? Yes, I will take the greater than 50%. He does not play out the remaining, I have no idea, 3 years on his Philadelphia contract.
Yeah. By the way, Eddie, some news pertaining to the slate. Kristaps Porzingis ruled out once again for the Mavericks.
I assume they will start Dwight Powell again. I don't know if they said that yet.
Probably Brunson will remain in there at the 2.
Yep, I think that's most likely. Brunson or Bogdan now is a question for me. I think it's close between them. Assuming Brunson starts, I would end up having Brunson quite a bit higher.
Brunson and who now?
And Bogdan, your boy. I mean, my boy too. I'm a big Bogdanovich fan. I like all the Bogdanoviches.
I mean, Brunson at 5'1". I'm gonna slot in for a 9 for me.
Yeah, that strikes me as right.
It's a tough matchup.
Is this
not as a whole, but
is this a buff to Thad Zinger news? No. No, not really. You're going to get some Willie Cauley-Stein is still there, and you're going to get some various other matchups. No, it's not a really relevant difference. I might have preferred Kristaps played because I think there's more of a chance the game goes bigger, which makes it a little more likely that Thad gets more time on the court, I think, because you get Thad next to Eubanks and so on and so forth. So it wouldn't be big either way, but I don't think it's... How viable is Ubla in this game environment, GPP specific? What do you think about Kelly O number 2?
No desire to roster Kelly Oubre tonight with the Hornets healthy and an 11-game slate. Certainly a conversation on the late slate, though. Yeah. I think would be in play there as a low-owned tournament pivot. Beast, yeah, the ranks update, man. There's a thing on the ranks that it says last updated. When they change, that updates.
He and I
Brunson was a 7. He is now a 9.
Yeah. Thad Young or Nick Batum, single entry small field. I'm going to have Thad Young projected for more by a fantasy point or 2, depending on how I wiggle around their minutes, both of which are moving around a little. But I basically have Batum projected for about 23 fantasy points and Thad Young for about 24.5. And Thad Young's going to be higher owned. So I'm fairly ambivalent on that choice.
Nick Batum.
And for what it's worth, I'm going to have Drew Eubanks projected for about 22 fantasy points for the absolute flat minimum. Like, he does project both of those guys. Let me be clear. Sure. I just think he's 45% owned, and there's any number of ways the thing gets fucked.
So can we hit Nick Batum versus Thad Young? You got that? I got Nick.
Yeah, I'll take Thad Young. All right, put it on there. Nice.
Had to get something on the board today.
Put it on the board. I feel like that was the second one. Didn't we just do another one?
No, because whatever I suggested, it was you didn't say raw points. You just said for the savings. I forget what the 2 players
were. Yeah, it was Dean Wade and the Deuce. That's what it was.
So I gotta make sure I mark down too that you won the chat showdown last week.
You're goddamn right. I thought I was going to lose it with Karl Anthony Towns randomly playing 35 minutes and getting 3 rebounds. 3.
Dude, I told you. I thought I was feeling.
You told me what? That Karl Anthony Towns was going to get a third of his normal rebounding rate? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't.
Rebounding seems to go crazy when you put a prop.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I still get more than my share, but I don't want to hear it that my guys or other people just like, you know what? I could use 15 rebounds today, Joe Harris. Fucking hell. Fucking crikey. All right, you want to talk about some of these league games a little bit more? You want to keep going?
Let's do that. But I just want to touch on this here because this is not the first time that our buddy Beast has complained about the rankings. In your mind, Eddie, sure. Should we have projected Porzingis out? Because if we did that, obviously Jalen Brunson would have been ranked higher as he is now. Yes. In my opinion, him getting the questionable tag, Porzingis that is, on the second half of the back-to-back indicated to me that there was a much greater chance that he was going to return to play today compared to the last few games that he's been out. What say you about that? I guess I'm trying to get through here to like how to Beast, our good buddy, how this works. Like with the ranks.
So it's even more complicated because you and I are both working on these, and depending on how busy my day is, I'm doing between 16 and 69% of it. So giggity. Should Brun's rank have been an 8? Oh, that's a question, and there's 2 shoulds. A 7 rank puts him completely out for me.
He would have been out for. I agree with that because when I played, and especially when I was just playing, and you were the only one doing the rankings, most 7 ranks I didn't include in my player pool, especially if that.
Now you didn't play 150 lineup, so my answer would be that ranking a player like Brunson, because if Porzingis plays, Brunson probably shouldn't be played on a slate of this size. That should probably be enough news that assuming he doesn't get that start at the 2, then he should just be out. Obviously, guys like that can get there. He's not ranked at a 1. He's ranked hypothetically at a 7. I believe I had Brunson at an 8 because I thought he was 50-50 to get the start, and he was a 7 if he didn't start and a 9 if he did. I think, hold on, let me find, I have my actual original paper version I did this morning. Yes, I originally had him written down as an 8 and didn't. I only overwrite your shit if I think it's drastically off, and then I would send you a message saying, hey, I think you gave this guy a 3. I think he's a 9. Let's talk about it. There are a couple different ways you can do that. That's me sort of averaging multiple outcomes to give the truest opinion of what his rank should be at the moment that it's inputted. It's perfectly reasonable to choose either Porzingis is going to play or not, and then rank appropriately. So you give Porzingis a 8 and Brunson a 7 because you're ranking them both as if Porzingis is going to play. And then if Porzingis gets ruled out, you bump Brunson to a 9 and you knock him out. I don't ever want to be overly critical of people who give feedback because I want all the feedback.
Of course.
That's possible. So it is difficult to host or co-host or do whatever the hell with the show. And especially on big slates where you're dealing with 200 viable players approximately, to keep everyone's ranks updated. Yeah, and there's almost an argument that we should employ a third person or something. Last man in, 4,500 forward. Let's see. I like Hart there. He's 49. I like Wade, but he's locked and he's 1. Thad probably. If you don't have Thad.
Yeah.
Thad 4100.
Obviously, I like Batum.
Yeah, and that's Batum obviously very much in play there as well. Brunson or Curry on SuperDraft. I have to remember their rankings. Their multipliers.
Brunson 1.6. I got it right here.
3.3K. Last one in. Eubanks already in lineup. Well, you've lost V, though he was 3.7. You lost Wade, though he was 3.1. You've lost Shake, though he was 6.9. You lost everyone in those games. So we're looking for value from
the 3-3 utility, then.
I'm presuming.
Trey Murphy.
So that would be weird. I mean, it means he has Eubanks in the center spot. And yeah, it's gonna be Trey Murphy, though. That's right.
Yeah. Jaden McDaniel's not crazy either if he gets the start again for Minnesota.
Yeah, I think that would be in play at least. And McLaughlin in play a little bit. Turn up Mobley. Mobley is legit. Embiid with not that much. I think like 7 or 8 fantasy points, it looks like, in the first 5 minutes. It's not crazy. It's not insane. It's not enough. Didn't we do that bet? Didn't we do Embiid and Jokic? We did that, didn't we?
That is the chat showdown. Currently 19 Jokic to 17 Embiid.
All right, let me go in here. Let's see, what else are we forgetting? Yeah, I think
what was the super draft question between Brunson and whom?
Bogdanovich.
1.45 Bogdan, 1.6 Brunson. I would go Brunson.
Yeah, it's Brunson. I have Brunson for raw more, so it's pretty easy. So I like LaMelo Ball a lot. Just seems obvious, but again, 33 and 34 minutes last 2. I think the matchup with Golden State, I think, is actually great for him. They've had some guarding the perimeter issues. We've talked about his ceiling. I expect that game to stay close. Wait. I think, hold on, let me look at, I'll make sure I'm getting this right. But you have, I expect while we've continued to have really exceptional, Bridges usage, I think he deals with a fair amount of Draymond here, and Kevon Looney is back. Their interior defense will get shit soon enough because James Wiseman is nearly returned from injury to screw up their back line. But for the moment, I think it's either a LaMelo night or a Terry Rozier night, who especially I think it's on FanDuel is incredibly well priced.
I guess Miles Turner producing well to start, I guess, here. Nariki asked me how come he wasn't at an 11. I did have an 11 on, I don't know.
My favorite part is of you doing more with the rankings is you realize what a thankless job it's always been.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's so hard to do well. It's insanely hard to do well, especially when you're then really, really busy leading up to lock.
Yeah.
Miles Turner doing well, by the way, with fucking no blocks or steals. He's got 8, 4, and 1.
Wow.
He's going out there and doing it that way. Yeah,
Miles.
Like I wasn't a super fan of anyone on the Pacers. Now the Knicks defense has been shit, but I keep thinking it's going to improve. Doesn't appear to be so far, as the Pacers have hung 16 on them in under 5 minutes so far. That's not exciting.
Yeah. Also, Magic 16 points in 5 minutes. Jalen Suggs 5-1-1 to start.
Suggs. Nice. Cleveland with 4 points in 4 minutes against Portland. Well, anyway, but there are some real issues for me, like exactly where the usage is going to go on this team. Like they're now starting Sabonis and Turner next to each other, which is always a thing. Brogdon, Karis LeVert, and Duarte. That's a lot of guys who are trying to put the biscuit in the basket. Normally, the guy I would think would be not scoring much out of those 5 guys would be Miles Turner, who has 8 of their 17 points right now. So, that is a tough spot for me to pick against a Knicks defense that I think is still in the process of evolving. Like they are not where they are going to end up. I expect. I'm a believer in the defense of the Tibbs.
Seth Curry 7-1-1 with a steal his first 6 minutes.
Steal's nice. Yeah, I mean he gets out there and point guards quite a bit.
I'm double checking to see if I did make that tick up on his rank. Yeah, I did get him to an 8.
Good.
Oh, Eddie, off topic here. Not completely off topic, but just it's been a while since we got to Pack War.
Yeah.
Did you see that the ability to buy base set packs 10 at a time starts tomorrow?
Let's go. I'm fucking excited. Maybe tomorrow. I will at some point in the next few days. I will slow up at some point.
Yeah.
I will show up in a show.
Also, I think the locker pack feature now fully operational. You can trade 4 moments for a pack of 3. So we have endless opportunities almost.
Yeah, we're gonna do some. We'll let people wager. We'll set up a side thing. Can you talk about the state of the NBA with the rule changes? I love them almost unreservedly. I'm curious, Zach, what your opinion is there. But basically, you can't jump into people, you can't run in front of people and slam on the brakes. You can't I'm a big fan of those rules changes. It changes the game significantly. You get players like James Harden. Like James Harden deserves credit. Going to the free throw line is great. It's like fouling balls off in baseball. It's not fucking exciting. It's the opposite of exciting, but it's really good for your team. If you can make the opposing pitcher throw 9 pitches a batter instead of 4, you're going to get deep into their bullpen. And especially in a multi-game series, if you're in the fucking World Series, that'll win you a fucking World Series. So yes, watching James Harden take fucking 19 free throws a game is incredibly fucking boring, but that doesn't mean I can't have respect for the fact that he put it together.
Yeah,
he's got a question here about Jared Vanderbilt in Minnesota, and I'd like to talk about that. Vanderbilt's a hell of a rebounder, among other things. I think we can talk about the JVs if you want.
A lot of what I would have to say on the rule change matter would be repetitive from what you said. So yes, let's go to the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I just think I really like the rules changes. I understand people who are like people fear change, so there's just a lot of people who are like but
well, it's not too long ago that the moves that we're now banning or outlawing were not in the game. So anyways, Minnesota, and I think specifically asking about Jared Vanderbilt here. Do we have the lineup for the Timberwolves yet? I apologize if I missed that.
I do not believe we do. Again, this is, I think, oh, wait, no, this isn't the Hammer. This is the 8 p.m. game. I don't think we have it yet. I think I had him expected to start. Like, he's been getting some real time these last few games. Started 2 of the last 3, had 28 or more minutes, I think, in the last game and a couple before that. He didn't play a lot in the Denver game. Let me look, doing some searching here.
I'm a fan of getting to Vanderbilt for value tonight. I had him at
at a
9 on DK at 3.6, Eddie.
Yeah. And again, another forward eligible guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the minutes for me, for a guy who's 0.9 fantasy points per minute, somewhere in there. In his young career, getting close to 30 minutes at that price.
Yeah,
solid
think
value at worst.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely something. Someone is not pleased with Mobley's performance. So yeah, Vanderbilt really comes down to if you think he's going to be starting. Because if he starts, I'd have him for 28 minutes, and if he doesn't, I'd have him for 17. Because of the way Finch runs that rotation. So you got Vandy in because of the 9 ranking. Yeah, that seems correct. DK GPP, Slow-Mo and Graham, or Triple J and Brunson. I would have Triple J and Brunson.
I had the same.
Yep. That's off of our good.
What we kind of left in the dust there was the ownership, Eddie. So we can go. I mean, if you want, we can go ahead and wait 5 minutes and just add this Brooklyn Atlanta game to it.
We'll take a shot at it. Let's go. I feel good about this one. Zvi Mikhailuk.
Yes, Zvi number 1.
Pretty good that Zvi will come in number 1. After that, I have no goddamn clue. 32%.
39.3.
That's more than 32. What are the pivots off Vandy if he doesn't start? We will definitely look in a second on that one. I'll try OG Anunoby.
OG number 3.
I will try George Niang.
George Niang number 5.
I will try Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid number 6.
I will.
You do this once a week, you get a little rusty.
I will. What did I just named 3, 5, and 6. So I'm missing 2 and 4.
Yeah.
I will try Furky from Turkey.
Furky number 4.
There are 5 games. I'm not even remembering all of here. I will try Chetty.
Chetty number 8. He's a shooter. He's been traded in the last 18 months.
Oh, thanks. So that really cuts it down.
We'll say in the last 12 months.
I'll go team by team here. Oh, yeah, it's going to be.
I think it was at the deadline.
It's not Norman. It's Gary Trent Jr.
Yep, Gary Trent Jr., number 2.
That's a little higher than I expected for him.
It is. 20.5% for Trent Jr., 19.5% OG, 17.5% Furkan, 17% Niang, 13.8% Embiid, followed by 12.5% Al Horford and Cedi Osman, 11% Colin Sexton, 10.5% Fred VanVleet. What was your Shake Milton ownership guess? Didn't you say 8?
I said 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I think I said high singles. Actually, I don't think I named a number at any point.
8.99%.
I got one right on. I'm so good at this.
Evan Mobley, 8.6. Jarrett Allen, 8.2. Wendell Carter, 8. Dean Wade, the white D Wade, 7.5. Julius Randle, 7. Cole Anthony, 6.7. Normie Powell, 5.5. Alongside Darius Garland, Damian Lillard. Other notables, Franz Wagner, 4%. Jason Tatum, 3.5, right next to Jaylen Brown. Jalen Suggs, 3%. I like that.
I like that.
Did we ever get information on Karis LeVert? Like, is he going to get into the fourth quarter tonight? Because he went from 15 first half minutes to 1 third quarter run. I would assume maybe a stint here in the fourth quarter. I don't think we ever got.
I don't think we had full clarity.
Sure.
On that, or at least I didn't feel like we did.
One guy we didn't get to, I guess one position we didn't get to, for the Raptors was kind of the front court with Precious and Kim Birch there. Obviously,
Yeah.
Chris Boucher, I don't know if you could say he's in the doghouse, but he's certainly not a priority for Nick Nurse right now. Precious got the start again last night after Kim Birch took the vast majority of the minutes in their last game.
Yes.
I had some interest in Precious, like not as any sort of priority.
Yeah.
But his price has been falling back down. I think he's 4-4 today. And I just think there was almost an equal chance that he got back to the 30-minute mark, as there was for Kim Birch to get there.
Yeah.
Especially with him getting the start still.
Yeah, he still got the start, so that gave him a chance. I definitely, the coach's comments, Nick Nurse specifically talking about these guys said that he said that Precious doesn't quite have it going on either end. That was a bad comment for me. And again, he didn't close there. So I really didn't think I thought it was greater than 50 that Kim Birch got the start today. Yeah, so there's a lot of going on there. Like when you only get like 10 minutes out of Chris Boucher, with no Pascal and with all these other guys out, I've been very disappointed in him. So he's apparently they are giving up on him as a dev project.
Some good returns early out of Toronto, Eddie. 4 points, 5 boards, and assist for Precious. I guess it's all perspective, though. If you rostered OG Anunoby or Fred VanVleet, no real points for either of those guys yet, but 10 for Gary Trent, 6 and 2 for Svi Mikhailuk. Also, I'm depending on when you have to get out of here, I may or may not be letting you down because tonight is the final home game for my team, and I got to get down to the stadium in about 90 minutes. So I got about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't think I can quite make it to 8 either, so we can do about 20 minutes. That's fine. We can get close there. Do you want me to open a pack of something? I don't know if I can even share. I don't know if I have the power. Like, there's a share button here.
Thomas, sir. By the way, Thomas, I did not see your message about that lineup, but if you are listening, do we have screen share ability? I mean,
there's a button, but I don't know what happens if I hit the button.
I'm not sure if we have the ability. Let's see.
Let's find.
There he is.
Aha!
Shall we?
Someone in the chat said, "You guys ever gonna have a 4-person show?" We were very close last night.
We were theoretically.
I almost guessed. I'm waiting for them to show me a successful like Pokemon whatever thing for me. And as soon as I see a graphic that seems worth it, I'm going to start just showing up at random.
I will see what I can do. Okay. For sharing the screen, do you have an option at the bottom? Do you guys see an option at the bottom?
I got a button. I got a button. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You should be able to do it.
I'll try. Share a screen. Sharing screens is easiest with 2 monitors. I have 4, so apparently I can't. Little joke there. All right, let's move that over there. Don't show these tips again. Yes, thanks for those tips. Oh, now pick which screen I'd like to share. Okay, let's go with this one over here that is basically empty, so I know there's no porn on it. And then, because honestly, that's the nightmare. Now I'm bringing a window over. Is everyone seeing this?
There we go.
All right, here we go. We got some goodies. Let's
top shot.
Let's crack some packs. All right. All right. I have a weak collector score relative to you, but I do have packs. I've got 2 more Dwayne Wade packs, an archive set pack, a locker pack. I don't even know what half of this shit is, and a run it back rare pack. That's the expensive pack. Like you'll never pack draft me the expensive pack. You don't have one, so I should open this fucking thing, right?
I ripped mine. I got the T-Mac debut.
Did you?
I did.
That's
very
nice.
Exciting.
All right, let's go. I'm gonna do it.
I mean, this one is for the people.
This is like a $200 pack. This is for value.
Hold on, let me real quick. I'll talk to my people in the collectibles chat.
Oh, and say that I'm going to open it. Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Let them. Let me get the link here.
If you tweet something out, I will retweet it too, since I've retweeted exactly garbage about tonight's show, which I feel bad about.
All right, let's do it. YouTube link.
Oh yeah, I got the YouTube link. This is exciting. That's it. Now let me see. Is there like an advanced share so I can I don't think I can share my sound. I think that power does not reside with me.
I mean, I think we'll probably find out when you click that little open button there.
Well, no, because I think I should be getting it now, right? Like I'm not.
No, not till you open it. It'll be like give you a little.
Yeah, but it's weird. When I hit
razzle-dazzle,
share
and then the
screen, it
track
didn't
will
give
start.
me- There's a share plus. Let's see what this does. It says I can share a video file. You don't want to see any of those.
Oh, by the way, Eddie, before we do this, Wolves starting Beverly, Edwards, Okogie, McDaniels, Towns. So Vanderbilt not getting in there.
Okay, so yes, we need to get Vanderbilt out of there. We'll do that after this. We got 25 minutes till the next batch of games. We will come up with a good 3.6K forward to land on there. Have we tweeted anything?
I have it right now. Let's see.
All right.
Twitter. Come on. There we go.
The Twitter interface right now says we have 0 viewers. 0, which is bugged. It's not a huge number, but it's not 0. Oh, like Thomas did a tweet there.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, but there's no like link. There needs to be a link. There's this here. What if I click on this, I think we're gonna get a nasty echo. The Twitter interface. Yep. Oh god. Okay. That's the Periscope. There we go. Let me find. That's fine. I'll go to YouTube and get the link, guys. You're busy. You guys take your time. I'll find it.
I got it.
Okay. FTN Network. Yeah, live now right there. There we go. So 54 people hung out in our meager YouTube polling just to watch me open this pack. I'm very honored. All right, let's go with let's copy a link here and I'll go back to it. All right, let's go. All right.
Did you tweet it?
I really think if we get a couple more people together, we could really make this look slightly more incompetent.
I just tweeted something, so we'll see.
Really nice guy. We are social media masters here. And the other day I was looking in the FTN like executive chat, and Stefano, our chief marketing officer, was like, "We're really looking to hire a social media person." At the time, it didn't really resound with me, but now he might be onto something. That might be a good idea. All right, we'll see. Sure, I will like your tweet. I will retweet your tweet. And I will wait 30 seconds and then open this run at backpack. So what am I hoping to get here? Talk to me about that. You know this stuff. I just know was this like $100 or $200? What was this pack?
$169, I think, which is of course very nice.
I spent $170 for some JPEGs. Doesn't even make sense.
Shaq, Allen Iverson, Dwayne Wade, Tracy McGrady. For me, it's Tim Duncan is always nice.
Sure.
Trying to think the other debuts in that.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. I'm
Jason
hitting the
Kidd. I can hear it.
You can hear it?
Yeah. All right, make sure the blue one.
Find the pleasure delay, right? This is my do that one last, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't hear shit because the fat beats. Oh, Al Harrington. Worst possible. That's how much did this cost again?
The worst possible.
Show me what you got, Al Harrington. Oh, look at the video quality. Big Al. Al is a good teammate. That's what we have to say about Al. What do we got here?
Back to back? Mo Pete.
Mo Pete? Wow, really? Like, these guys are immortal. And by immortal, I mean some of them might already be dead. I don't even know. But it's still loading. It apparently needs to take some time to think about this. Are we not ready for the... You need a nap, Mo Pete? What's going on here? I want to see Mo Pete's layup. I'm sure it's... All right, we're moving on.
It's very nice. I've seen it. Back to... double Al
doubles.
Harrington's.
Jesus Christ. How much did this cost again? Because I've gotten $9 back so far. I want to be clear.
It's all going to pay off with the rare. I'm telling you. Doug Dub saying the elusive Mo Pete layup.
Okay. This is not even the Mo Pete debut, by the way. Apparently, there were other Mo Petes out there. I don't even know what that's about. All right, here we go. Oh, 3-digit. Oh, look at that. You got to be jealous of this shit. 3-digit Robert Horry. Spurs.
Check it out. Big Shot Bob's first moment.
Big Shot Bob.
Assist.
Oh, that's a nice dime.
Nazi Muhammad
Nice
with
dime.
the dunk.
It's righty behind the back. Oh, the casual.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that one might have been worth $4. All right, we're going into the rare now. What's the worst thing I could open here, hypothetically, not to predict?
Whew. I mean, I know that Tony Parker's not the lowest, but he's down there.
All right, here we go. Let's see it. Caron Butler. That's
Yeah.
pretty terrible.
I'd rather have the Tony Parker, obviously. That's a tough pack.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
Can we see the Mo Pete layup?
That's your takeaway for me
Here we
wasting
go.
$100. Can I see that Mo Pete layup?
Hey!
Okay, that's funny. That's not even really a layup. That's a bank shot. Like, he was well outside.
Some jelly there.
Nicely done. Okay, let's see just how bad that was. How much? Let's go look at that Mo Pete layup was worth $170 on its own. Thomas, the producer, points out. Thanks, Thomas. I feel better now. Let's see the Mo Pete. Let's see. I guess we'll just hit place for sale to figure it out. What's the pricing helper?
Good question.
It's only $9 for that. Nice. All right, the Mo Pete was worth $9. What's Caron worth? I think that's the real question.
Caron Butler is.
Don't forget, it was also a fairly shit serial number.
120 low ask for that.
Okay, so I mean, I say a 115 here, with like worst possible number. But all right, so like it wasn't an actual lighting of money on fire.
No.
And again, we got a Spur, which is nice.
We love Big Shot Bob.
Apparently, he does not want to load either. All right, I'm stopping sharing my screen. It was apparently too much for my computer there with now it's going to load Robert Horry. Okay, so how about that for some anticlimactic shit? So that's fine. You and I will do some pack wars soon. Tomorrow, hypothetically.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, if we both hit on those packs,
yeah,
and each have 10. I mean, I'll say this. I'll put up if we both get 10 packs, I'll put up 5.
Winner take all. Just sum
Yeah.
everything. We each open 5 packs, and just one of us owes the other one.
I gotta let
15
you
moments.
catch up because I don't think you've ever won a pack war off me.
No, I haven't. That's
I'm
that's
just reminding you.
It literally just reloaded the Robert Horry assist, which it took quite a while.
So nice, you had to watch it twice.
Yeah, I got to see it again.
Little business here though for Anthony. He's playing the turbo slate.
Yeah.
And obviously Jalen McDaniels getting the start for the T-Wolves, Jared Vanderbilt. Coming off the bench, he's asking Vandy or McDaniels on the turbo slate.
Well, let's go in here and reproject these boys with that news. So that's going to make that pretty close because I'm having Vandy for way more minutes, but he's not good at scoring the fantasy points. So let's. I bet I still have Vanderbilt higher. Well, let me futz a bit. Let's go in there. Let's see. Still highest ranking remaining player, Jonas Valanciunas for me. Looking at Minnesota, I have Jaden McDaniels for 27 minutes and 15 and a quarter fantasy points. and Jared Vanderbilt for 17 minutes and 15 and a quarter fantasy points. I have them for exactly the same fantasy points with a 9-minute playing time disparity. So I would probably play whichever one is lower owned, which, Jesus Christ, I really don't know at that point. It might actually be.
I think
else. Nobody's playing that fucking guy, but
I think there's maybe a bit more minutes upside with Jared Vanderbilt, even coming off the bench. Like, I think he could still crack 20.
Oh, could, sure. Like, there's any number of ways in which he gets to, like, forwards who are left remotely in that price range. Do I have anyone else to throw out here? All these guys started already. $3,600 or less, I'll assume, is my price range. I think Dwight Powell, center only, plus I think he's 3,800. Beverly isn't eligible, obviously.
Yeah, I think I'm still maybe taking Murphy there.
Is this where Najee Marshall becomes the guy?
I mean, I guess you could slot Najee in, and then if Murphy gets the start, go down to Trey. Also, I don't know why, but I'm hearing myself back.
I assume I somehow borked our audio. If we're done in a couple minutes, it's not a thing anyway.
So you're on Malik Beasley over Slow-Mo, if I recall correctly, right?
By a very small margin, by less than I think 3/4 of a fantasy point. But yes, sir.
Okay. So you want to put that on the board before we get out of here? I'll take Slow-Mo.
No, I will not put that one on the board. I think you're getting greedy.
Right. Just trying to get more action. That's it.
I'm not putting that one. You're an action junkie. I'll put it on the board. I have to have the courage of my convictions. Go ahead. Put it on the board. Rocket. Get in there.
Oh, man.
All right, everyone. Well, that will be it. I want to apologize to everyone for my Top Shot pack. I'm sorry. I don't even know what to tell you. There was a spur in there that brought some joy to Zach's heart, which should bring some joy by extension to your heart. It's easy to go through life and be selfish and just seek the things that make you happy, you know, sex, cheeseburgers, amphetamines, but it's much better to find the people around you and see what makes them happy. So spend $200, open a pack of virtual cards, get some guy with a lot of rings. How many rings does Robert Horry actually have? Is it 7?
7.
It is 7. Guy's got some rings. How many were as a Spur?
2.
It is a 2.
2 Rockets.
3 Rockets and
3.
2 Rockets and
2 Rockets, 3 Lakers.
2 Rockets, 3 Lakers, 2 Spurs. Yeah. That makes sense. All right. Well, yeah, there it is. What's the board count right now? Do we have an updated year total?
Let's see.
I think I'm up 1 or 2. It's got to be something like 5-3, 5-4, 6-4, right? Like 1,
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 5, 3. Your favorite.
Okay.
Including the chat showdown from last week. Cat versus
As we should. That counts. This counts for 1, but that's also 1. That's good. We snuck that one out. All right. Well, cue suspenseful music. Will Zach get even tonight? I don't know. So we'll be hanging out in chats for the next 12 minutes. Yeah. Thanks everyone for stopping by and making this a part of our evening. Sorry again for that grotesque Top Shot pack that I feel like violated decency laws. But you know, that's how that goes. And I will see everyone soon. Zach will certainly see everyone tomorrow. So thanks again to Thomas, our excellent producer, who actually showed himself on stream for a minute or two tonight.
Oh, yeah.
He's not nearly as ugly as everyone told me. So that's good. Good night, everyone.